in this product management, just know one thing, you will see shaggy. You might have built something for a purpose and customers use it, and it's like another thing that they are doing with it. A lot of product managers are delusional. A lot of your role, like you talk and talk.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Spotlight Podcast. This podcast is for curious minds and aspiring innovators. We dive deep to discuss inspiring, informative, and offbeat conversations on product, research, technology, and business to supercharge your career. I'm your host, Iwalola Shoboale. I'm a passionate advocate for conversations and insightful discussions that inspire change and growth. Today, we have with us Elizabeth Ajao, who is a product manager with 4 years work experience building and working with digital products. She enjoys writing and she briefly worked as a finance and business journalist in 2020. I hope she'll be telling us a little bit about that today. But she also won the No Code Tech Summit Award for the most promising product manager in 2022, with work experience at VFD Group, Enyata, and most recently Polaris Bank as a product manager. She's also notably a community organizer for people in product. Elizabeth, welcome. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast today. I'm really glad to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming with your usual positive. Like, I feel like being around Elizabeth, there's this like she exudes this really positive vibe. No, seriously.
I'm blushing.
So first of all, we'll do our icebreaker. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this. This is something new we started doing this season. It's a virtual game, and I will be sharing my screen. Okay, so with this, the idea is that we're just bringing like a fun twist to our discussions, and it's just to get you thinking, like to see how you think. It's not anything really serious. It's just to like get like a how do I say like a creative to see like the creative part of you. So the idea is for you. Oh, oops, I have not covered this. Yeah, the idea is for you to select an emoji, any one of your choice, and then we'll open up the card and see what's underneath, and then you would answer the question basically.
My eye is going to the love emoji, but something tells me that there's something else. Let me choose it regardless. The love arts.
Let's see. So please read what it says and then just go ahead and answer.
Oh, you are tasked with naming a new AI assistant. What creative and catchy name do you come up with? Pet AI.
What did you say?
I said Beth AI because
Beth AI. That's actually nice. That's a nice name for an AI. Nicer than Siri, to be honest. Nicer than okay. ChatGPT too. Like I don't know. I feel like the name.
How they came about the name, right? I thought I was the only one who always wondered.
And I'm yeah. It feels, I don't know, too robotic. I don't know. Yeah. And then I'm glad that Google have changed from Bard to Gemini because I don't know what they were thinking.
We have set up Bard.
Yeah. Okay, let me go ahead and get you to select another one.
Let me choose this demon-looking skeleton, the white and black face.
This one?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I've always thought of that as an alien face. So, I guess people see things differently.
Oh, joy.
Yeah. Okay, could you go ahead and read it, please?
You are organizing a tech startup pitch competition. What criteria do you use to evaluate and select the winning pitch? This is difficult too. What criteria? I think for me.
Sorry, go ahead, please.
Okay, for me, I would say eloquence. I mean, one of the criteria is because I believe as a startup founder, you should be able to sell your idea, whether it's rubbish, nonsense, or something. You should be able to sell pure water and tell me this is not pure water, this is Coke, and I will believe that it's actually Coke. So that's something, because you'll be doing a lot of selling in your journey. Then I would also say validity and viability of the idea. So
Okay.
I mean, viability in terms of will people actually like use it? I'll put myself in the shoes of the users. This person has said, will I use it? If they come and tell me to pay $100 for it or whatever price tag is attached,
Yeah.
is this something I'll gladly pay for?
Mm-hmm.
So those two things, yeah.
Yeah, I love that actually. And this thing you said about eloquence, yeah, I was at the Builder Summit by Founders Conference Founders Connect yesterday, PCTM's event, and they had
Yeah.
this lady Lexi from Narskin 22, like the VC, and she said one of the things that she actually looks out for in founders is arrogance. She said it, she was like, she hesitates to say it, but she was like, she said it because she realized that the most successful founders they don't, no matter what you think about their idea, no matter what you think about their brand, they're just like, they are very like arrogant about it, in the sense that they don't let it get them down. Do you get?
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that. And yesterday, one of they had like a pitch competition as well, and the winner actually, the pitch that he made, he was very eloquent. He was very salesy about it, in the sense that he was able to, was even at some point trying to sell it to the audience that were listening. And that was one of the comments they made, that no, this guy is very salesy, that at last their business will make money because he's focused on actually selling it, right? Yeah, so it was really
Yeah.
interesting. It was really interesting. Okay, thank you so much. I enjoyed hearing how you think about things. um
Thank
so for us
you.
to get to know you a little bit better now, we'll be going into like a bit about your background. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself? And one thing that was interesting for me was that you were a customer support officer at some point. Could you tell us about that experience and how you go from there to winning awards as a product manager?
Okay, I'm flattered, but thank you. My name is Elizabeth Ajao, like you all know, or some of you know or don't
We
know.
know, we know.
I'm a product manager. I worked in like diverse spaces. Aside from work, I like to enjoy myself. Enjoyment is key in this life.
I
You have
swear.
only one life. You have only one life. I like enjoyment, like talking to people, meeting people, and also I like sleeping. If I have my way, I will sleep 24 hours. And then generally I am a strong advocate for impact. So no matter what I find myself doing, I mean, right from when I was little, I always wanted to, just also pour out other people as well. So right now I mentor, coach people, tech career, or not necessarily, but helping people, get better with their career and streamline their career path. So also something I'm doing like interesting this very much recently is event hosting. So I would say I'm an event host. So
Hey.
I like talking. So I wanted to channel that part of my energy into something, because everything's not about work, 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 work in this life. You have to do other things you enjoy. So yeah, I think that summarizes myself. Now, from customer support to product management, my entire career, tech and non-tech career, has been gidigbo, gidigbo. Like I didn't have it smooth. Some people just after school, you know exactly what you wanted, and not just knowing what you want, but getting what you want immediately after school. I didn't have that luxury, right? So I left school. In fact, there is a gist. I left school with a job. My final month in school, I secured an internship at one of the leading banks or leading product-led banks in Nigeria. And I had the offer. I was so excited, like, because before I left school, I was anxious. A lot of my mates already had done internships. They've done something with their life before they graduated. But my own wasn't like that. And so when I got the internship, I was really happy. And I was supposed to resume in March. Then pandemic started in 2020. I
Oh
could not
no.
resume anymore. And they said, oh, let's wait some time when the government calls it off. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month. I didn't get that. I just had to just know that okay, I think this is gone after about 1 or 2 months. So I started like scouting for other opportunities in the interim. And I got a customer support role by reaching out to a founder on Twitter. I reached out to him and he said, okay, let's talk. Can we talk? I said, oh, I just started a company, right? Do you mind building with me? I said, okay. And so that was basically how like I got the role. So it was by shooting my shots. I mean, most of my roles actually, as I go further, I'll talk about most of my roles. I got them by shooting, except like more recent ones. And I started working from customer support. I sort of, when I say I enjoyed it, because I enjoy talking to people genuinely, but I think talking to people for the fun of it, and talking to people as a job are two different things. So I got tired. I knew that, oh, this was not what I wanted. Right. So I started making plans. What can I do? In fact, at the time, I didn't even think about product management. I wanted to do finance because that was what I left school with. That I wanted to be like in finance space, be an investment banker, yes, or a venture capitalist. And so I started taking like courses. I registered for an exam, started reading. I couldn't write the exam again because of pandemic. But in my organization, I got promoted where I was working first. I got promoted from a customer support person to a product operations manager. And that was literally how I got into products. I didn't even know that some of the things I was doing then were product management. I was just doing everything. Like I was the everything for the company, finance, operations, products, working with engineers and everything. Although there was another customer support team that came out from me, I also had to oversee their activities, and also that was pretty much how I started my career, and I found my way upwards.
That's so interesting. And I feel for you. I feel for you, coming out of school, you secured an internship. Can you imagine? You're so proactive, only for
Right?
something beyond your controls come and derail
Yes, I was
everything.
so devastated. I couldn't even, it was such
Yeah.
an experience. But
Yeah,
thank
that
God.
couldn't have been easy to go through. And then for you to then even go ahead and shoot your shots for a role, like that kind of proactivity, honestly, it is commendable, right? And you said that you started out not doing work that you didn't even realize. You started anti-product doing work that you didn't realize was actually product management, right? But I feel like sometimes that's when like you actually learn a lot because your mind is open. You're not
Yes,
actually like fixated on this is what I do,
nice.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing about your journey. And then you mentioned something, talking to people, um, for fun and talking to people as customer support is totally
Yeah.
different. I feel that I honestly feel for customer support people, I feel it's a really draining role. Every day you're getting people hardly call to say, oh, I love your business. They call when they have problems.
Yeah. For where? Hmm.
Yeah, so it's really, soul sucking to be honest that people call when they have problems. You're in this role where you're just always taking in like negative every day. But do you think that that role had something to do with, or has helped you in your product management career so far?
Definitely yes. I feel like I speak to product managers a lot, and one of the things I experience or I observe is a lot of product managers are delusional. I mean, I don't mean it in a bad way, but it's
Yeah.
just the truth. A lot of product managers or founders set out, oh, there's this new big idea, let's build it. Don't worry, customers will buy it and all of that. But it may not be the case.
Yeah.
Working in customer support made me actually like feel more empathetic towards customers, right? Knowing how they think, so their psychology. So there are things that after my role, like fast forward to my other recent roles,
Mhm.
management to come and say, let's do this. I would also do my research, but from the moment where they are saying it, I'm like, I don't think this will work. I mean, we can look more into it, but it does not look like what people would actually buy into. So it helped me a lot with my customer centricity as a product manager because it's a very important skill to have, empathetic towards customers, and it also helped me with knowing how customers will treat your product. So you might have built something for a purpose and customers use it and it's like another thing that they are doing with it.
Oh
So
my god.
So yeah, like when you're talking to customers, you're not finding out this is how we built and this way this is not how we wanted you to use it, or something very interesting about the product. So I think from that moment, even after I started my proper product roles, I still had that habit in me to always talk to customers. I try to always, no matter how, because sometimes, right? especially like more recently that I worked in the like big organization, it can be very like tricky because the customer support teams are like far from you and all that, but still finding a way to get closer to your customers, as that mindset really has helped me, and it has helped me like go far in my career.
I am totally on the same page with you. Funny enough, that thing you said about being delusional, and I think that I've realized that in my roles, because I work as a in research, so user experience, customer experience.
Mm-hmm.
I see myself always telling product managers, designers, or engineers that you will build a bottle like this, you will give it to customers, instead of drinking from it, they'll put it on their head. Yeah, right.
Real.
And you have to learn from that. You cannot say you want to educate
By
every
force.
single, like you cannot force. You like you give them, you tell them, you think that your product is clear about what they're supposed to do, but they will do
Sorry.
the opposite. Right? So
Sorry.
this thing you said is very key. I am a strong advocate for every person in an organization actually speaking to customers, because otherwise
Mm-hmm.
you don't know who you are building things for. You don't know any, like you have, like you just said, when customer service is far from product, it's not optimal. It's really not optimal. So anyway, I hope we can cover more of that in the conversation as we're going forward. But to take a step back a little bit, if I want to
Mm-hmm.
be Elizabeth Ajao today, I'm listening to this podcast. What should I be reading? What should I be watching or listening to?
Uh, I watch K drama a lot, so maybe
Nice.
start from there. But the movie I'm seeing most recently is a series called Just Us Girls, on YouTube actually. So yeah, it makes me laugh a lot. And at the moment, I'm reading a book called The Seven Perspectives of an Effective Leader. I think
Hmm.
it was written by Daniel Akave or something.
Mhm.
Even though I've been reading that book for the past 4 months, but I know I'll finish it one day.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically that. Those are the
Oh
things
yeah.
I'm.
So for me, my perspective on books like that is I don't intend to read them cover to cover, like in one sitting. Like how many things will I remember? I usually use them as like reference points. If maybe I remember that,
Mm,
oh, I think I read something like this vaguely here. Oh, I'm going back to it. I mean, it's like even if you read the Bible cover to cover in 1 year, you still have to go back and be referring to
yeah,
things there, right? So that's how I
very
typically. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing about yourself. And then could you tell us a little bit about what are some of your career highlights, right? What would you say are like those times when maybe your perspective changed, or you
mm,
felt like very like you've achieved something great? So we would love to hear about that.
interesting question. I think one of such moments was when the product I built, one of the products I built, like started, initiated, I dated, went live on like all the stores, Google Play Store and App Store. Oh my God, it was such an ecstatic moment. I think that was in 2021, 3 years ago. I was so happy, like, Mama, I made it. My product is on Google Play Store. And it was like thrilling to learn from the experience and all that, all that. Then another one would be, I think, winning the award. Because before I won the award, in fact, I don't always like, I know they too rate myself like that, right? And so when I was reached out to, because when I actually, the year I won the award, it was not a voting thing. So I was just reached out to that, oh, I won an award. I was like, who knows me from where to where? I don't understand. And then from that moment, like I meet people randomly and they're like, are you Elizabeth Ajao? And I'm like, I don't understand. How do you know me? So yeah, that's also something that then yes, another thing is like very recently I I taught, I think it was in January this year, January or February, I'm not sure correctly, but at the start of the year I taught about a class of about 300 product
Wow.
management for like 2 weeks, and it made me know that okay, I actually know a lot. I mean, I know stuff, but now teaching it and seeing what people are doing with the knowledge validated a lot of things for me. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's amazing actually. And I think my previous line manager was the one who actually made me realize that the more you teach something, the not only do you get to like even do better with it, but like it validates something within you, right? So it's great to hear that for you. And then you talking about your when your first product went live, I can just imagine Like the way
Girl,
you said, "Mama, I made it." Honestly, I can imagine how you felt.
it.
Yeah. And then you had mentioned previously that you're someone who is impact driven. Like, what did that do for you? With that, like knowing that you try to make an impact wherever you go. What did that do for you, as in sense of your own personal convictions?
Yeah, it just makes me know that I can't do nonsense.
Okay.
For me, my reputation is very important, right? Like wherever I go, if I'm even spending 1 week with you or 1 day with you, I want to leave. I mean, I'm replaceable. I don't like agree with people saying yeah, I'm replaceable, but even when I leave, you can always point to the period that Elizabeth Ajao was in this company. I'll share a brief story, right? One of the companies, I won't mention name, that I worked at. I worked there for a bit and I left. I think I left like in the middle of the year or close to the end of the year or something. And months later, I got to find out that during the end of the year, like there's this end of the year strategy session, and I was mentioned that this person is no longer with us, but this was the impact she made, and like she's highly celebrated. Blah blah. They did not
Wow.
celebrate me in my front, but I
Mhm.
mean, it just showed that for a company to celebrate you when you were no longer there, in the
Mhm.
presence of others, I mean, like, it felt really good. So I knew that, okay, yeah, my mantra is not a waste because I am, if you give me, even if it is like 10 naira, I will make that 10 naira, multiply it to the best it can get to, right? So doing the best with the resources I have is what I always try to do. And it's the same thing I do everywhere I work. And apart from work, giving back as well. Like even if it feels like what I know is little, I want to also share so that it does not die with me.
Yeah.
It's
I love that. And I think I also consider myself to be impact driven. Money is important too, but I feel that
important.
money is important too. And yes, like
Obviously, the current economy starts.
yes, the money is important, but
Yeah.
it doesn't give you that sense of, I don't know,
Yeah.
accomplishment, achievement,
Personal
fulfillment.
satisfaction. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. That inner personal satisfaction, money doesn't give you that. So I totally relate to being impact
I
driven.
agree.
Awesome. So we'll get into the main conversation now. I think a lot of us listening now are probably getting to have a better sense of Elizabeth. Me personally, even though like we're not besties or anything, no, we're not. I wouldn't even say we know each other, right? But I feel that just being around Elizabeth, she exudes this like warmth. Following her on Twitter, like even just being in your, I don't know, social network or something,
Okay, cool.
yeah, you actually deliver a lot of value to people. So I just wanted you to know that. Um,
Thank you.
so getting into the conversation, we're here to talk about those survival tips that early career product managers must, like, you need to have it in your backpack, in your laptop bag. You need to have it with you. So Elizabeth, could you please tell us what exactly does being a product manager entail? So for someone who maybe just has a vague idea of what product managers do, and I know right now there is this what would I call it, celebrity of being a product manager, but can you tell us the reality? Or is the reality still a
Mm,
celebrity kind of thing? So
mm,
that's what we'd like to know.
okay. In this product management, just know one thing, you will see shaggy. So if you are not genuinely interested, don't even bother. Don't even bother because like the frustration, it's not be here. But one thing is if you have interest, I mean, there's no career path. I always tell people that it's easy. What trumps it all is your interest. So if you're actually interested, you will find yourself thriving amidst the shiggies, the
Mm.
daily doses of shiggies. But yeah, product management is generally, I would say, people always define it as an intersection between business, technology, user experience, and all of that. But in my own like simple terms, I'll call product managers the bridge, right,
Mhm.
to the successful delivery of a product. So every connecting dot, every point that needs to be connected for a product to be successfully delivered is what a product manager does, right? And it seems simple,
Mhm.
but it is a lot. And it's kind of somehow because as product managers, compared to let me say designers, You know that one skill you need to have that if you don't even have it, can't be a designer is Figma. Or
Mm-hmm.
engineers, if you cannot code, you cannot be an engineer. For product
Mm-hmm.
management, there is no one singular skill that this is it, right? This is the dominant skill, but like it's an intersection of different skills here and there that you bring together to successfully deliver a product. And another thing is that as a product manager, it's like the truth is the things you get to do at different companies might vary.
Okay.
Also, in the same company, the things you get to do at different levels of the product or the different phases of the product might vary. So, say you're just starting a product, it's just an idea, you're trying to build it out, build an MVP. You are mostly settled with product development. So most of your functions will be around development, working with the engineering team. You've not launched the product, so you're not really into the market part of the product. So what
Mm-hmm.
you're just looking at is ideation, research, you know, development
Mm-hmm.
and delivery. So
Mm-hmm.
your work might even be looking like it's not product management, like a project manager at that point, right? So basically, right, your job as a product manager is to ensure that a product is successfully delivered. And trust me, if a product is not making money or if a product is not hitting its revenue goals, then your job is not complete. So I just thought to put that out there because product management is not totally an engineering, focused role. Is engineering and business focused. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so you mentioned something about, if a product's not reaching its revenue targets, and I've seen several times like people tweet that why is it that when a product is doing well, it's the team, but when it's going wrong, it's the product
Is it
manager.
when that question, a decade-old question that no one has an answer to. People always say, as a product manager, you need to be a leader, and a lot of times, like leaders don't really like get the praise, right? But if
Mhm.
there's a problem, the leader is the person you run to. Just think about a situation where something happened in your company and you have to run to the CEO or to the executive. Oh, this is. But if things are going well, you may not tell them that this is going well. So that's how I see it. I think product management is a leadership position. And that's why somehow, there's this thing of, oh, you just want to start out your career, come to product management. It's kind of dicey because you need to have gained a certain level of, leadership skills to be able to effectively function as a product manager. Yeah.
So that was actually going to be my follow-up question for you, that since product management requires leadership function skills, how
Mm-hmm.
easy can it possibly be, or is it possible for early career
Mm-hmm.
professionals, maybe someone with 1 year of experience or someone who just came out of school, to be an effective product manager? What's that like in your experience?
I don't like to rule out the possibilities. It's
Mhm.
possible, but if you are the exception, to be very honest,
Okay.
it's not. I won't call it the norm because if you've not led a team, and so experience may not just be on the job, right? On a professional job, it could be in school actually.
Okay.
You led, for example, you were the president of a student club, you led a
Okay.
project, you guys had a project, you saw it through from beginning to the end, you secured sponsorship, all of those things also count. But all at the same time, there's a difference now when it now comes to like professional experience because when you're doing all of that, you're not really profit driven. You're just
Mhm.
doing it for the impact. Now, when you now come to a profit driven organization or an organization that is not just for impact, but like also to make money, the dynamics are kind of different if you agree with me. So I would say that to start out your career, as much as you've gotten leadership skills from schooling and all of that, I would still advise that if you want to come into tech, I would advise against product management being the first thing you do because
Okay.
if you do, you might succeed though. You will succeed at the end of the day if you put your mind to it, but it's going to be a very hard, long, and lonely journey. So, one thing that you can now do in the stead of that is say there is a product team and there are senior product managers or something, you can be an associate, right? Or you
Mhm.
can be an intern. So that way you're not assigned the management, part of the responsibilities. You just like watch them more like shadowing, see how they
Mhm.
do things, learn from their own experiences because there's some things that once you learn them, now starting your role, it makes it easier for you, right? Knowing how to deal with humans. I like to tell people that I think one of the, for me, right, one of the most important skills that product managers should have is people management,
Mm-hmm.
because majority of your work relates to working with people. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
these things that you need to get done, most of the things rather, they are not things that you do on your own. You need the help of people, you need the support of people. So people management is something that you develop over time. It's not something you just know once, right? So if you're interning, right, with other senior people, you're able to, oh, how did this person manage the situation? How did they meet the deadline? How did they, handle it? How did they inform stakeholders that we're not going to meet the deadline? So it makes you prepared, right? Even when you now, maybe after a year, 2 years, you get a full product manager role, you are able to, learn. Another side is, I believe that product management, right, there are a lot of transferable skills. So someone that started as a that started as a product designer, sorry, and transitions into product management, I think can stand a chance of being a better product manager, because product design, they already have user experience knowledge. So they are
Mm-hmm.
coming to product management with something to offer. They know
Yeah.
how, users would typically run through a product. You're not building a product and like you're starting from the tail instead of starting from the head. So they already have that knowledge. Someone that was a software engineer coming to product management, they already know the architectural types, what they want to build, how it fits into the entire architecture, and it's easier to manage the team building it, right? So
Yeah.
I would, if it's possible, pick up another tech skill if you're, interested. It could be QA, it could be product design, it could be software engineering, because it will help you a lot in your role. And if you feel like this product management, you don't want to die on, you want to start and finish, then I would say you can take up internship roles and just like watch people,
Mm-hmm.
show you the ropes so that you will not walk a lonely path. So yeah.
I think you've made a very solid point here. And I think I like to think about it as, would you go off and start a business without any experience in that business? You
Yeah.
probably wouldn't. So maybe you wanted
Yeah.
to, let's say you want to start a business, I don't know, selling tiles. You probably would say, "Oh, let me go and work with someone else who has sold tiles. Even if I'm just the person putting the tiles in the car when customers have bought
That's,
it, I will learn something just from being around." So yeah, I think you've
that's
got a really solid point there. So one thing I would like to find out from you, I know you mentioned earlier that you wouldn't say there is like one major skill or solely one skill that every product manager can get by on, right? So what would you say is like that bucket of skills? Say you are hiring a product manager today, and what would you say is like that bucket of skills that a product manager has to have or develop, especially like earlier on in their career?
Oh, fantastic. One thing I look out for when I interview product managers is their communication skills,
Okay.
because a lot of your role, like you talk, talk and talk. You will say something, people will do another thing, and you'll come back and repeat yourself all over again. So how well you communicate would show me that, yeah, like you have great potentials, right? Another thing is, okay, for early, career starters, I would say is analytical skills or problem solving skills,
Mhm.
because a lot of your work, or a good part of your work as a product manager, involves you thinking through solutions. So if I see that you're someone that is a critical thinker, right, you're able to think fast, it gives me a sense that, oh, this person can actually succeed in this role. So I ask, like in the interviews I've conducted, I like to ask scenario based questions that actually tackles a problem. I want to see how you will think about that problem and come up with a solution for it. So it's something I also look out for. I think at the basic level, since we're talking about like basic, the communication skill, the critical thinking skill, and I would also say a bit of data, but data I cannot really like ascertain that during your interview. Every other thing, I think for me, is wrapped under communication. For example, stakeholder management, people management. A part of
Mm.
it is communication. I cannot ascertain that you're a people manager from talking to you in a 30 minutes or a 1 hour interview. But if I see that you're a good communicator, it gives me a sense of, okay, yes, you can, manage people. But Generally speaking, I think I said it before that one of the greatest skills that you can have as a product manager is people management. You'll go far. See, even if you don't know so much, I know how to manage people. I've seen situations where the product manager was just, just there, but
Mhm.
because they were a people's person, right? People loved them. They were the man of the people, and those ones will always stand for them, giving words for them. So I'm not saying this is good, but well, yeah, like just generally being a people's person will help you, especially when you now like know your stuff, or your engineers, your team, they would be at your back. So yeah,
Speaking of people, I'm going to ask you a controversial question now.
sure,
Why
sure.
why are UX designers and PMs always at loggerheads? Please answer on behalf of every PM out there.
Well, okay, I'll say that like 80 to 90% of my experience with UX guys have been good. Maybe
Okay.
it's because I have a background in design, maybe because I'm able to like even when I give my suggestions, I'm not just saying this is not good. I'm telling you like what I feel. Oh, do you think we can make like making you think about it, but like letting you know like the loopholes, right? So I'm
Yeah.
able to have like design conversations, basic level design conversations with my UX designers. So I've not really like had problems. But the few times I've had problems with UX designers have been because the UX designer or the product designer was about like aesthetics, right? All this thing, like it has to be.
It must
And I'm
fly
like,
like this kind of
yes, and I'm like, customers don't care about this. This thing is not making their lives easier this way. So me, I'm coming from the angle of the customer. The product designer is coming from the angle of how like it looks, appearance, and all that. I'm like, appearance color magic. If you're not Yoruba, sorry. It just means it's not appearance if it's not appearance the users will like, that will make them use your product. Of course, I mean there are some products that you get affinity for because they look good. But
Mhm.
deep down, if that product looks good and it doesn't serve what you need to serve, you throw it away and pick up something that serves what you need to serve. So both are important. I'm not downplaying one, but when a UX designer becomes too focused on how it looks alone, and they
Mhm.
are not also paying attention to how it should serve the customer,
Mhm.
when problem will be there. You get to. I think that's one of the things that makes that happen, that low guide. And I think another thing is a lot of PMs are not design oriented. So designers that have no, because sometimes the issue is not just with the designer. Let's be telling ourselves the truth.
Yeah.
Sometimes the PM is the problem. A designer that has design experience is maybe preferring like their own professional advice, but you are not even like giving valuable feedback. You just said this is not good. Why is it not good? What do you think can be better? And then designer too, the designer too flares up, and you're like, oh my god, everybody fight starts and all that. So I think understanding a bit of design. I'm not saying you go and learn, but like actually like UX would help you collaborate better with your designer. So yeah.
I can almost faint from how much I agree with you.
Yeah.
I can almost think I like the fact that you tackled it from both sides of the coin, right? Designers needing to understand that yes, so designers are creative thinkers. They're like, how can we make this
Mhm.
thing just look amazing and
Yeah.
everything. So that basically when they're saying, "Oh, I work in so and so place," their
And their
fellow designer
portfolio
peers are
is
saying,
fine.
"Oh, yeah, I understand that." So you as a PM, and then there's a word you used when you said, "As a PM, I might suggest something," and I think that word you use, I wish I could frame it for all product managers. I've realized that product managers who tend to have problems with their designers don't see their designers as collaborators. They see them as tools to be used to
Yeah.
achieve, yeah, their own goal.
Mm.
Meanwhile, they fail to realize that if I collaborate with this person, accept their professional advice, we can take my own brilliant ideas with their own brilliant ideas and make a brilliant product, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I do agree with that perspective. And then also you saying that from the other side of the coin, product managers also probably learning a little bit about user experience, what makes things easier for a customer. I agree with you on both sides. Thank you for sharing your perspective on that. What tools do you think every product manager needs to master? Does a product manager like need to know how to use Figma? If like 100%? Or what tools do you think a product manager would need to achieve their or to achieve their targets, achieve their goals?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think one of the beautiful things about this product management thing is like you can achieve your goals in multiple ways. Like you don't have to do what somebody else is doing because the person branded it, put it on Instagram. You watched a day in my life of a product manager, like, oh, not necessarily, right? You can achieve the same goal in different ways. But I think I'll not name like a product, but I'll give examples, right? But
Okay.
some of the tools that every product managers need to know at a very like foundational level. Number one is your task management tool, or what people would all also call project management tool. Because as a product manager, if you're in a company that doesn't have project managers, you are the projects, products, and everything manager, right? So you want to manage delivery, manage, the output, put out task, documenting your task. So these are what the project management tools are for. We have like Jira, some of us have heard of them, Jira, Trello, ClickUp, and the ancient Azure. I mean, like I used Azure for the first time in my life recently, and I'm like, what's this? So yeah, that's one like project management or task management tools. Then you have, I'll call them product thinking tools, right? So you want to brainstorm an idea, you want to like put things together, sketch here and there. One of the tools I use is Miro. I use Miro to come up with my user flows, user journeys, and all those sort of things. Like I want to know how like users go from point A to point B. So documenting that with a sketch or with a user flow diagram. That's one. There is also whimsical and all of that. So a part of product thinking for me is wireframing. I don't know, maybe because I have a background in design, I like to like put what I'm thinking about into a wireframe or what I will call a digital sketch, right? To give an idea to designers what I'm like thinking. So I always tell my designers that you don't have to go in this direction. In fact, I would love it if you can come up with something better, but to make you understand what I'm thinking about more, like that's why I sketched it out this way. Because the truth is, a lot of times, I know people say one of our work as a product manager is documentation, but like written documentation, sometimes your stakeholders or your collaborators don't read it as much as you think. So if you want to just make life easier for them, right? I sketch, I still document so that in the future, if anything happens, I will show you this is it. Well spelled out, well written out. But I also try to make life. I remember when I was working with one designer in the past, and then I gave him like everything. I was like, Elizabeth, what am I not supposed to do? You've done everything. And I'm like, no, no,
Wow.
no, no. I actually just like want to make things easier. Feel free to not use it. But like the goal is to understand what I'm trying to communicate. So yeah, then other things like for documentation, Google Docs, Teams, AI. There are also other documentation tools like Confluence, Notion. Well, see, my own mantra as a product manager is simple and easy is the goal. So whatever I can achieve with a simpler tool. So my point is, don't try to. If you're fine with using more complex tools, it's fine. But you don't always have to make things complicated for yourself because you just want to show that I sabi. Then another one, like let me just talk about this last, are data tools. I mentioned earlier that as a product manager, your work is not just technology focused, but also business focused, right? So as much as you're technology driven, you're also revenue driven, right? Are we making money? Are users onboarding? We targeted 1,000 users. How many users do we have? And another thing is, if users are not onboarding, why? At what point are they dropping off? So the data tools are things that will show you all of this. At the basic level, you have Google Analytics, mixed panel, amplitude. If you want to take it, a step further, you want to like write code, you have SQL. I think I'm familiar with most of all these tools, but like you don't necessarily have to use everything at once, right? But they all have their advantages. So for SQL, if you want to get quantitative data, you use SQL, but SQL will not necessarily tell you, oh, this is where people are dropping off. So you need a more comprehensive tool like mixed panel, amplitude. Like you get to see the points that users are dropping off. You get to see how users are progressing in your product. So Yeah, that's it.
It is. Can I join your team?
I am okay.
Can I join you? No, anywhere you're working right now, I'm joining your team. Like you're a product manager who will just make life easy for everybody on their team. Honestly,
Right.
documentation, yeah. Putting down your own thoughts about what you think it will look like there, giving good feedback is there. Oh God, please, I'm joining your team. I'm joining your team.
Oh,
Come on, no. You sound very well rounded. Like all the advice you've given, I can tell that it's come from a place of experience, right? And we're going to go.
experience.
We're going to go a little bit very soon for you to tell us, the challenges you faced and what you've learned from them. But before
Yeah.
we get into that serious stuff, right? Is product management really as glam as people make it out to be? Like, oh, I've
No,
seen a lot of product management day in the life. They're doing, they are drinking coffee, they're doing this. So next thing you see them, I'm like, I will not be a product manager. Bye.
no,
Okay.
honestly. But I think that you can make life easy for yourself by putting systems in place. If you have a system like on your routine, your life will be easier. But before you even get to the point where you even know what to do, you know what to put in place, you will see small shaky. And even when it feels like you have it all covered, you still see shake. So the shaky is continuous. So I would say
It's continuous. I
it's
have to say.
continuous. it's not it's not as easy because one problem I have is a lot of people just say, "Oh, you don't want to code, you don't want this." I come to product management, like I feel like that ideology is very archaic, right?
Mhm.
Because it doesn't paint the reality. Product management to me, I've done literally almost everything in tech. I've done design. I have written codes before for a short while, but I did. I have done a bit of QA, and I'll say that product management to me, please, everyone has their own opinion. It's like literally one of the hardest because people trivialize it, not because it is hard
Mhm.
as well, cannot do it, but people trivialize the work. They make it seem like, oh no, it's just to manage, just manage people, and you're good. But it's not really the case because, like you said before, you said if something goes bad, the product manager is the number one person they will call. I've been on meetings, executive meetings, something is wrong, and the engineer that wrote the code, you will not hear anything. It's the product manager they will now call. Hi, Elizabeth, why this is users are, and I'm like, I'm not the one that wrote the code. But I mean, you still have to defend your team. That's the
Yeah.
irony, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't mean you will lie, but you still have to like show that you have their back and all that. So I'll say it's not easy. And the reason is simple. It's a role that requires different overlapping skill sets to excel in. And one thing I found out that as I have like progressed in my career, there is something I learn at every stage. And my last job, there were things I learned that I 10 months to that because I spent like 10 months, right? I didn't know what those things were. I mean, I'll give you a gist. I was in an interview recently and I was talking, the interviewer asked me like the general tell me about yourself question. I answered. Asked me a second question. I answered, but like I was like very thorough. I said it. Me say I knew that I was already talking too much.
Mhm.
And then when I was done, I was like, it doesn't have any more questions for me. That every single question you wrote down,
You've
I
answered.
already talked about it. And those things, I'm like very sincere with you. Those things were things that if you had asked me 10 months ago, 1 year ago, I wouldn't have been able to answer or answer like confidently like I answered because those things were things I learned by experience. So as you progress in your career, like what I'm just trying to say is as you progress in your career, you get to even like learn. So it's a continuous learning journey. So if you're not open-minded, then there's nothing for you. But if you're open-minded and you're willing and you're interested, I think emphasis on interested. You're not just coming because you think it's easy, but you're coming because you have a genuine passion for creating solutions, then I think you will do fine. I mean, eventually.
I love that perspective. I really do. Speaking of interviews, what do you think about the PM interview? Should I say landscape? What do you think about PM interviews nowadays? How do they typically go? What do you think can be done to improve? Or are you good with how they are right now?
Hmm, that's interesting. For me, I think I am more of like I prefer interviews.
Okay.
to assessments. Not because I can't do the assessment, but like assessments will require a lot from me. I would maybe have to prepare their questions like in 2 days or one whole day, depending on how like questions come. For interviews, I just need like an hour to like freshen up, and I go there. Like I can talk, so I'll talk. I say what I know, not say rubbish. Say what I know, but like say it well. But one thing I realized that interviews are like, actually, I don't know if it's like a thing that comes like with seniority, but there's less emphasis on like technical questions. Interviews that I attend like recently, I don't really get asked. Like I would have prepared like this, like learned everything. And like they're just like talking to me, and I'm like, no, this was not what I signed up for. So I
Yeah.
think because one thing is I have been in companies where like PMs were hired and they come and talk, but because the right questions were not asked, they flop on the job, right?
Mhm.
So asking by technical, I don't mean like as per engineering questions. I mean technical to the field of work, technical to the kind of product you're
Mhm.
building. For example, I don't see why you would be hiring a fintech PM and you're not asking the fintech PM questions around payments. Do they know
Mhm.
how payments work? Do they know how money moves? Let's even start from there.
Yeah.
Do you so those things will only come by experience. You will not see them, you won't even see them online. If they don't know, they don't know, right? So I think those are things that I just like noticed that would help more in like efficiently hiring capable hands. So yeah.
Oh, love that. So you're saying that there should be an emphasis on asking industry specific questions.
Yes, 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 yes,
Okay,
yes.
that's very
Correct.
valid. Awesome. So now let's get into the scenario based questions like they ask in interviews, right? So can you tell us about some challenges you faced as a product manager? How did you deal with them? Did you cry? But aside from crying, like what did you do proactively to resolve those
Is this a safe space?
issues? It's a
Yeah,
safe space.
I'm gonna finish there. So when I started my career, 1 year or so into my career, I had an engineer. Like I didn't hear it. Like he came to tell me that, oh, I have a feedback for you. Me, I really love feedback. Oh, like I can cry after, but like I actually like it when people tell me like good or bad things, right? And he said, I think you like put a lot of pressure on people to deliver. I was like, I didn't argue with him because I kind when he said it, I played the scenarios in my head. I'm like, okay, I think you're correct. Then like we discussed a bit and all that. And then I started making deliberate efforts to be better. And I remember that at intervals, like I asked him, oh, like what do you think now and all that. I liked that he was being honest with me. And it made me notice that I can, when I'm under pressure, I can like transfer the pressure. I used to transfer the pressure. As it's coming to me, like it's getting to you, like, oh,
Collecting hot sauce.
yes, we'll face this pressure together. Oh, we need to deliver this thing today. I'm in your DMs like 10 times. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? And I get that, yeah. I mean, it helped me because one of the things that like my boss then used to say is like he always trusts that like whatever product project he gives me, say the least person is going to always deliver.
Mm,
But then like at the detriment of the people because I wasn't being understanding of their situation because like okay, boss wants it done, let's get it done.
mm,
That was the mindset I had, and I had to come down with this. Like, okay, the people are as important. So later on, if things will not be done, I can't tell the boss this thing cannot be done, or give us a little more time
okay.
to make this happen. So it was something that like he said to me, but like I heard this from other people that did not tell me. Not everyone is like courageous to come and tell you
Mm,
what they think about you. Some people just go and how office everything is. Just
mm.
talk to their
You
friend.
don't
I'm
want
sorry.
somebody eyeing you across the room.
Yeah. So that was something that I knew how to work on. I think that's like yeah. And I think every product manager should learn. As much as you want to be success or delivery driven, you should also be people driven. So yeah.
Awesome. So be open to feedback, right? It can be
Mhm.
challenging to take, but think about it, process it, and act on that feedback. But then also think about the people. And I think you're right, actually.
Mm.
Nothing can get done without the people that we work with. We are not AI. Nobody is. We are not AI. Even AI self, they collapse sometimes. Have you not tried to refresh
You
you?
get, they will say we don't have answer. We don't have response for this. Your
You
question is
get
so tough.
honestly. So I think I can relate to that. So how do you deal? I know you're basically giving us a hint here, but how do you deal with like problematic stakeholders, as in those ones where they don't even care if you think they're a witch? No, they
Hmm.
don't care. How do you handle those ones?
I leave them to God though. On a very serious note, I actually leave them to God. So whenever I have like people like that, I am like a Christian, so I pray that God,
Mhm.
this person that is giving me problem, please don't let them pour sand in my gari, right? That's like one thing I do. But on the natural side, I have discovered that having somebody like up there that supports you goes a
Okay.
long way. So even when there's a problematic stakeholder and you have someone that knows your worth or knows what you're capable of, let me put it that way. Eh, And they're also like top level executive. When that one is saying that, because you can't always fight in quotes all stakeholders. There's some stakeholders that are above your way above your grade. You cannot
Hmm.
be saying you get, so you need
Yeah.
someone also like up there to do the fighting for you. Just
Mhm.
surrender to that person. Oh yeah, my answer off, right? But like other things you can that I have tried is to try to talk to them, like based on whatever it is they are, whether they're junior or senior level, just let them see from my perspective. But like you said, problematic, some most problematic stakeholders, or some of them are like their opinion is their opinion. No matter what you say, they cannot listen to you. Once I see that you're like that, I will just move my hand you over to the people that can handle you, to be honest, because this battle is no longer my own. I cannot be, that's when you now start to like derive enemies and
Mhm.
all that. When I say, just hand it over. And yeah, that's and sometimes I just let them proceed with the idea. When they fail, or when they see that it doesn't go the way that it's supposed to go, they will come back and next time they will listen. They will listen because the problematic stakeholder might be your CEO. So who do you
Mhm.
want to tell after the CEO? Who do you want to tell that is above
Yeah,
the
what's your
CEO?
CEO to HR?
Exactly. So you just let them do their thing.
Mhm.
Okay, you want it, everything is all right. I'll tell you where I stand, but I
Mhm.
will not be in the way of what you want to do. Do it because at the end of the day, now you get company. Me, I'm just paid to do my work. Eventually, lessons will be learned.
Mm. I love that. So either Elizabeth will hand you over to God, and you'll be seeing Elizabeth flying in your dreams. Don't be disturbing me in the office. Or she will
Yeah.
leave you to go and mess up, Abby. So
Ah.
speaking of failure, right? And I guess the
Mhm.
opposite being success. How do you measure your success as a product manager?
Very interesting question. I think for me, I measure my success firstly in the people, right? The whole experience I had like taught me to be people driven. So are my people happy? Right? You said something that it's only people that are, really involved or that are happy about your product or your company that will give you more value. So are they happy? Are they glad about what they are building? Or even say they are not even maybe what the idea they are building, that this idea cannot fly, but you just have to build it to collect salary. But like, are they happy working with you? Are they
Mm-hmm.
happy like doing the job
Mm-hmm.
because you are their product manager? Do they feel relieved or do they feel like more stressed because you are their product manager? So for me, I would say if I start to see that I'm failing on that end, then like course correct. So that's one thing. Then another thing is in terms of like the user experience. So like users using my product, are they happy using the product? Do they feel like the product is solving a problem for them? Then on the revenue side, is this product making money? I'm always very, very particular about revenue. Whenever I work for like revenue-based companies, like they're like sometimes they even have them come like, you're not the salesperson. I'm like, yes, I know I'm not a salesperson, but because if we don't make money now, something, you say my work has ended, right? So is product making money, or are we eating our goals as we're supposed to? Like work, collaborate with other teams to see how we can like do things better if that's not the case. So for me, like that's just it.
Yeah, do you know that's a different perspective from like the usual? I mean, I think I was expecting to hear, oh, look at your revenue, look at your number of users, go on like Apple Store, go and see what everybody's saying there. Are they saying, oh, this is nonsense? So I really like the perspective that you came from. And I think that's a very valid, point of view. There's no point like what's the point of you building something that's successful, but then everybody inside hates it and hates you, right? So yeah. What do you think is one thing everybody should know before they get into product management? Like, if you don't know any of that thing, know this.
Communication for
Mm-hmm.
me. Know how to talk, know when to talk, know what to say. Communication would how you communicate, right, would do a lot in people how you influence people. And a lot of product management is actually influencing people to get the job done. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have all the skills that are required to build the products. It's not you that will do design, it's not you that will write the code, it's not you that will, push it out there, but you need to like influence not just like the people building, but also top level stakeholders without exerting like authority. And communication is one way to do that. I'm very big on communication, so it's what I look out for in people, and it's also what I would advise that if you have a communication problem, fix it first before you even think about product management. So yeah.
Awesome. As I've been speaking with you, I've been envisioning, the way we've defined product management or a product
Mm,
manager in this episode to basically be like a captain of a ship. You cannot carry
mm,
the ship on your head to your destination.
right.
You have a lot of people doing everything possible to get the ship, but you're the one that is
Mm,
basically saying this is where we have to get the ship to. You're still taking
exactly.
advice from people that it's like there's a storm that way. Let's go
Yeah.
this other way. But you have a destination in mind. You're corralling everybody. You're also thinking about people. You can't. I don't know what they call them. I don't know what they're called on ships. But whoever is managing what the engine looks like in a ship, if you are telling they are sick, cannot tell him Uncle go and be facing the right, because we cannot imagine what happens to the engine or whatever. So I really appreciate your perspective on what a product manager looks like. I think it's something that's giving me a different way of thinking about things. Before we go, what resources would you recommend to anyone who's looking to start a career in product management, or maybe they've already gotten in, they've probably taken one course or the other, but they're not confident in their skills yet? What resources would you recommend to them?
Mm, I fell in love. I knew about product management, but I fell in love with product management when I read this book, the Products book by Product School.
Okay.
I really love the book. I go back to it from time to time. So
Okay.
I think it's something every aspiring or new product manager should read. It should really open up your perspective as to what you should really be doing as a product manager. And it's free. Yeah, I got it for free. So I'm an advocate of if you can maximize free resources, feel free. Like you don't have to. Yeah, I know that in this day and age, there's like the pressure of going to a product school or
Mhm.
all of those other sorts, but you can actually learn all of those things online if you are diligent. But I understand the need for them, right? If you feel like you need support, accountability is totally fine. But if you feel like you can learn on your own, there are a lot of resources. Like I mentioned, the product book by Product School. Then I also like when I started, I've been watched a lot of YouTube videos, YouTube videos like on different aspects. So if I want to learn about prioritization, I just go on YouTube, like search. If I want to learn about how to use Jira, I remember when I started using Jira, I couldn't find my way. And YouTube was like, they gave me a task code that okay, I need to like put this task on. I did not know it. And I had to
Mm.
like go to YouTube. So learning on job basically. Then what other resources? Yeah, Lenny's newsletter is the newsletter I read. I really like.
100% agree.
I really like. I'm talking about like free resources. Then okay, when you want to like now graduate and you feel like you want to pay, there's this course that I did on Udemy, and I think it was worth the price. Become a product manager, learn the skills, and get a job by Evans, if I guess it correctly. But if you type out that title, you would see that course. I got it then for less than 5,000, but inflation and everything, it might be more valuation of naira and all that. So, but no matter what amount it is really what it's worth the amount. Then aside from that, I would say that focus on applying yourself. because I've seen a lot of product managers that are starting out and they have taken 5 different courses, and I'm like, you will not provide all these things that you are learning online. You may not use it because there is theoretical knowledge and there is practical, like what you actually do day to day. So don't be too money focused. In the beginning of your career, you might be one job that they will not pay you so much money. Volunteer, right? Or you say they'll give you data allowance. Volunteer, be open to working with other people, even if it means working for free, because you actually really need the experience. The experience is what trumps it all. In the meantime, you can, build a pet project, come up with a project idea, team up with other people like your designer friends, your engineer friends, team up with them, build it like you're building to sell. But you can always talk about that product, even though you don't have experience in that sense. But during your interviews, you can always refer to it. Another thing you can do is you can write case studies, right? So you have an idea, but I mean, maybe you don't even have designer friends. Talk about it, think through the idea, come up with sketches. Let's know what your thinking process is like, and then you can, add it to your portfolio as well. I think with all of these things, if you do it, you'll be in a good spot. I know that generally now the job market is in a shithole, but I also like to believe that like excellence will always stand out. So no matter what the job market feels like right now, if you do what you're doing and you do it excellently, you do great. And like I said, like lastly, don't be afraid to volunteer, right? Or work for free. My first ever job, I was paid 20,000 naira. But I just wanted the experience on my CV. At some point, I had to leave because the money was not even, I could not like transfer myself with the money. And my parents were already giving me a lot of money. I didn't want to burden them. Like, you know what? It's not worth it. My money got increased at some point, but it still was not
Mhm.
amounting to anything. So feel free to, for a start, I know people say don't work for free, don't work for free. See, social media is not real life.
As in,
Advice, don't take it at your own will. You get? So feel free to work for free, but I mean, I always advise also that it should be timed. So if
Mhm,
you know you want to gain the knowledge, say 3 months, 6 months,
mhm,
after 6 months, run. Don't stay
mhm.
there again, because if they can see your value and they are not paying you after that 6 months, then there's a problem, and the problem is them and not you. So yeah, I think with this you'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. So I typically look at opportunities, as in job opportunities, in two ways.
Mm-hmm.
If the money is not what I want it to be, is the experience going to give me what I need to get the money I want in the next step of my career? So those are the things I always look at. Or if there's a lot of money, at least I might try not. I just hope the work is not the one that will kill somebody, so that it's making sense.
So you
Yeah.
can spend
So
the money in peace.
exactly. Elizabeth, thank you so much for your time today. Before we go,
Thank
say
you.
I am, someone who has found this episode really valuable, and I want to learn more from you. I want to follow you. Where can we find you?
Mm. Yeah, let's talk about products like that, but I try. You can follow me on Twitter at Elizabeth Ajao underscore. Then on LinkedIn, just search Elizabeth Ajao. I'm not the only Elizabeth Ajao, but I'm confident that if you search Elizabeth Ajao, I'll come up first or second. First.
Just look for the one that has award-winning something there in their LinkedIn profile.
Something. You'll find me.
Finally, is there anything exciting you're working on right now? Is there anything you'd like to tell us about? I know you're probably working on a couple of things. How's your event
Um,
going?
oh yeah, that's I it's going well. I'm trying to see how I can, put it out more so that people that will pay me for my skill will come looking for me. I mean, it's not easy, like always, like when you have to build something from the ground up, because people don't really know me as Bets event host, right? So I'm trying to build that perspective into the minds of people. And yeah, I'm also like working on a couple of things, but I think like with time, I'll reveal
Okay.
it.
Okay.
And yeah, finally, I think I should use this opportunity to advertise my newsletter. I have a newsletter where I write for career professionals. Like I write relatable stuff. So just search or type
Okay.
growwithpets.substack.com and subscribe to my newsletter. Help my ministry.
Awesome. I'm actually going to subscribe right now. Elizabeth,
Oh,
thank you so
yeah.
much. I've gotten a lot of value from this episode. I'm leaving feeling encouraged, confident, and warm inside.
Thank you, Lola. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Bye. And that wraps up another insightful episode of the Spotlight Podcast. A huge thank you to Elizabeth for taking your time out to come on the show and share your knowledge with us. For our listeners, I hope you learned something new and I hope you found today's discussion interesting and inspiring, actually. Before you go, please feel free to send any questions in for the next episode, or you can also tell us who you'd like us to bring on the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the Spotlight Podcast wherever you listen or wherever you get your podcast, and leave us a review so that we can know how we're doing. We would also love to hear your thoughts on today's conversation. You can join the discussion on social media using the hashtag Spotlight Podcast. Until next time, this is Iwalola Shoboale. See you next time. Bye.